So this can go on your shelf, never to be looked at again soon, because we got the new Monster Manual coming, the details came out, and I'm just going to do a summary of what actually was said. We already know it has 500 or so monsters rather than the 300 before. It has about 85 new monsters. We get a bit more of a clue about what that means here. With the monster sections, it talks about showing how the monsters interact with the world rather than just saying, here's a gnoll. The art, yes, they talk a lot about art, but to be fair, they were right about the art in the past two books, so fair play, the art will look cool. But the art shows them interacting with the world, doing the things that the monsters can do as part of their actions or whatever. One of the first monsters mentioned was the Tarrasque, the biggest monster of the Monster Manual, saying that he's got some new moves. You can teach an old dog new tricks, it seems. New surprises was how they said it, and our ways of getting round the Tarrasque by being at range no longer works. And if any monster didn't need minions too much, it's the Tarrasque, but now it does have some buddies. But yeah, the whole system of finding the monsters in the Monster Manual has been improved. They've basically done exactly what Kobold Press have been doing for a long time. Monsters can be found in an index by location, by CR, by monster grouping like devils, fiends, whatever, and still alphabetically, makes sense. Ancient Dragons, being the cornerstone of the game, has more health, and they are clever, they're defensive, they're strategic. And all their lair actions and presumably their regional effects get bunged into the stat block in one place where we need it. But yeah, dragons get new abilities. And guess what? Like back from old 3.5 and whatever, dragons can cast spells properly again. Yes, it was a variant in 5e, but like the good old days, dragons cast magic spells. I wonder if, this is speculation, I wonder if like dragons, their frightful presence could have like an anti-magic effect rather than a frightening effect now. Something like that would be cool. And they've worked on the legendary actions matching CR rather than us DMs taking the strongest thing, and I do that. The strongest thing and the strongest thing and ignoring the medium and the weaker moves. They've made the medium and the weaker moves equal so that if you want to be all melee, scratchy, bitey, you can be, or if you want to be breath weapon, it's equally as powerful. Now the artwork, yes I know, leans towards D&D specific monsters rather than trolls, ogres. It was saying, you know, you've seen these before all those places, but the staples of D&D get a bit of an overhaul. Mimics, for example. Now, I have seen Mimic Colony art before where there's all different mimics, but in here there's a new art showing all different kinds of mimics other than just chests. We even get tables of what other things a mimic could show itself as. And there's lots more of these tables. For example, they said animated objects, a table of why they are animated. How did they become animated? So this might all work as just a bit of a poker with a stick to the people like me who have DM'd for a few years now. But also think of if you were the first time DMing and this Monster Manual sounds like the greatest gift ever. So some of the NPCs and stuff we had in the back of other books get bunged into this book, which is good. NPC type things, you know? Your bandits, your acolytes, plus pirates, which I looked for the other day and couldn't find one. But now we have variants, variant mages, variant cultists, priests, etc. Do we need more guys? I would argue no, we don't need them. But I'd rather have new ones than not. But the point is, even from the lowest abilited man, they have tweaked abilities, a few new nice things. The mid monsters have more nice things, and the bigger monsters have a lot of new things. Everything has been spread. Even the types, you've got your vampire spawn, now you've got something in the middle, and you've also got a low vampire, and you've also got an even bigger vampire. The levels, just awesome that. All the vampires are much slippier characters now. They can sort of disengage for free with various different ways, making them much harder to get your hands on, thus making them a bigger threat. Does anyone remember the Goblin spellcaster called the Goblin Hexer from 4th. It's back, and also a lower goblin than a regular goblin, what's known as a minion. Probably the 1 HP minions we've already used, but different things for different sections of monsters. That's great. Goblins are now fair. They're really leaned into, well, you know, what's the details behind a goblin? Gnolls are now fiends. And all these different types can intermingle and work as a group. I mean, you've already got your goblin boss pulling the goblins in front as meat shields, but what else can we do? That sounds cool. The Death Knights now have a lieutenant that they answer to. Liches have a lower lich, so you can introduce liches more easily at lower levels. The bloodied aspect of your health point reduction now sparks some kickback. It's bloodied. Now it's gonna, I don't know what it is, let's say attack twice as many times. Go on a rampage doing extra damage. These are things a lot of us have learnt to do over the years, but having it in the pages now is just the ultimate gift. So the monsters can cast some of the new spells that were introduced in the PHB or the DMG, whatever, with expanded monster families and more concentration on higher CR monsters. Basically, we have more monsters for any level of play. All category of monsters like oozes or constructs have a boss monster now. The Ooze of Annihilation, I think it's called, for example. And even the individual monster gets a little bit of writing next to it. The skeleton, ossified evil. 1-1 says Underdark Ambusher. Just like the old editions sometimes had it next to spells. So you'd look at the spell and see, oh, it's a massive fire attack. Got you. But they didn't do that for spells in this edition, but they've brought it back in the Monster Manual, or introduced it really. There should be more of that, particularly with spells, so I can see what spells do what at a very quick glance. Now, this piece of art, this Rakshasa, I don't know what's going on here, and I hope it's not AI art doing hands weird again. I imagine it's something to do with their shape-changing ability, but we'll see. The alphabetization even has a tweak because Pit Fiend is no longer under D, it's under P for Pit Fiend. Gelatinous Cube is under G, not O, for ooze. But as I say, there's also the category of oozes, and there's also the category of demons and devils, so you can find them in various different ways anyway. Male and female versions of different creatures. Dryads are now pictured as a male and a female type. Hags, satyrs, male, female types. The succubus can now be a male or a female. The incubus can now be a male or a female, and they can become each other. But have all these older books, even all my cards, have these been rendered not unusable, but will I ever use them again? From the people who answered my poll, they were saying most people have stuck with 5e, to be fair, like 3/4 of the people who answered. So these aren't going anywhere quickly.